Hello, Acers. Welcome to this week's Ace Role Playing Games podcast, broadcast, whatever you want to call this. This is here for you, and I'm your host, Mason Emerson. This is the podcast, broadcast, whatever you want to call it, where I'm going to be covering some more of the situational rules for Savage Worlds as I prepare you to become a better Savage Worlds game master. Now, I'm going to be covering other systems in the future because there's a lot more for me to cover than I can cover right now in one video. And so I'm just going to go ahead and call it good for now. And as good as it's going to get, because it's as good as it's going to get. So I also want to remind you, if you haven't reached out to me to help me start forming your own club, wherever you're at, then do so. That's what I'm here for. That's what I have set everything up to do, so that way you can have your own Ace Role-Playing Games Club right there in your backyard, in your neighborhood, at your friendly local game store, at your church group, at your YMCA, wherever you want to have it. But that way you will be able to be an Ace role player too. And even if you haven't formed your club yet, if you've been following these videos, you're an Acer just like everybody else. So, that being said, let's jump right into this week's quick little rules coverage. And we're going to talk about a case where maybe for some reason maybe your character's not very sporting, or maybe your character's just realistic, or you're being realistic and you realize you have to kill unarmed defenders. For whatever reason, you're in a fight, you've got a knife, your opponent does not, and you're going to attack them because they don't have a shield, and you've got to take them down. So, not stacking with a drop, if you attack an unarmed defender, then you get +2 on your fighting attack. And it's as simple as that. So, like in the picture for this video, if you have somebody with a knife and somebody without a knife, that person without a knife is going to be definitely at a disadvantage. So that's the way that one goes. And I'm trying to stop saying things like so and things like that. So I apologize if they've been getting on your nerves. Let's go on and talk about unstable platform. Now, unstable platform is when you're trying to fire or throw a ranged weapon, like the back of a horse, a motorcycle, some sort of a moving vehicle. You're on a train and you're doing the whole, you're bouncing along, and you're trying to, as you're bouncing along inside the car, you're trying to shoot from the side of the car. Accuracy is going to suffer. So you're going to subtract 2 from your total because of the unstable platform. Now, is there an edge that counters that? Yes. And that's called steady hands. When you have steady hands, it doesn't matter how the car bumps and moves around underneath you, you're moving, and boom, your shot's going to be a lot more accurate. And so if you're going to be playing in a setting where you're going to be using a lot of unstable platforms, whether it's fighting on a ship, so yeah, a pirate setting, you definitely take steady hands. Or whether it's fighting from plane to plane, and if you're doing kind of this like Crimson Skies or Tailspin kind of setting, yeah, take unstable platform. Use the unstable platform rules if you're the game master, and take steady hands if you are playing a character, or give your NPCs steady hands as well. Let's talk about vehicles. Chapter 2 of the book does have the sample list of vehicles, but those are a basis for tweaking your own vehicles. So if you're trying to make a technical, and that's one of those cheap Toyota trucks with a 50 caliber machine gun on the back. If you're trying to make one of those, or a 30 millimeter, whatever, but still, if you're trying to make one of those, what you're going to have is you're going to take basically your truck, and then you're just going to add in the gun that's got on the back. So vehicular weapons work like any other weapon. and the character who's on the gun still makes a shooting roll to hit, and they roll damage if successful, and get the bonus die if there's a raise and all that. And that's, again, reminder, there is the unstable platform unless they have steady hands, or unless the vehicle has the weapon mounted on it. If there's a mounted weapon on it, it's going to jostle up and down with the vehicle, but that's essentially got springs and stuff in it in a lot of cases, and those springs allow it to jostle with or move with the truck, and it counters the unstable platform penalty. Now, sometimes when you're in a hand-to-hand fight, and maybe they've got a knife and you've got a knife, you might just decide, you know what, I'm just going to go all out and grab two hands and come down with that knife. And or you're desperate, or maybe the villain is desperate, or one of their mooks is going to make a desperate maneuver. But in a moment of desperation, you can do a wild attack. And a wild attack adds +2 to fighting and damage rolls. But they're vulnerable until the end of the next turn. So they can even be used with multiple attacks. And like from a multi-action or from frenzy or sweeping edge. So you can do a wild attack and then do another attack. And as we're getting to the end of these situational rules, because here comes the last one, withdrawing from melee. Whenever a character retreats from melee, all adjacent non-shaken, non-stunned opponents get an immediate free attack. So it's called an attack of opportunity in other games. It's called whatever you want to call it, but it basically means that if you don't make a defend maneuver and withdraw from the attack, chances are you're going to you might get hit. So, but sometimes that is the best thing to do, is to withdraw from the attack. So I want to know also in any of these videos if you've had any questions, because these videos are here to help you be a better game master. And I hope that they have been helpful for you. I hope that the little daily, or not quite daily, but the shorts that I stick up during the week have been helpful as well. Because withdrawing from melee is the last of our situational rules. And situational rules are really only to worry about in those situations. But you and the players probably should know them, and you should probably use them. That's the thing, is that sometimes we don't use the situational rules when they're there for us to be able to use. And if you want your players to use them against them. If you want, let's give a good example. We have a warrior. He's got a sword and a shield, and he is going up against 5 skeletons. And he's trying to get into that graveyard. So let's first of all talk about that. Talk about how that kind of situation works. In that we're going to have, I'm going to reach over here and grab my dice. And I'm going to just use a piece of paper here. And I'm going to pull out my pencil. And I'm going to run a warrior. Now, first of all, if you've been paying attention, and if you remember, Savage Worlds has some of the easiest NPC creations. And let's go ahead and create our character just on the fly, because we need him quick. Our knight, actually, we're going to do one even better. We're going to scroll down to the bestiary. And in the bestiary, we're going to take the soldier. Just a plain old soldier. Our soldier, he has agility of D6. He has smarts of D4. Let's go ahead and make our knight a little bit smarter. So let's make him D6. And give him an agility of D8. So we're going to up that a little bit. We're going to give him and we're going to stick with the spirit of D6. We're going to go with the strength of D6. Actually, and we're going to go with the vigor, though, of D8. Agility and vigor are the ones that we went higher on. And he's going to have athletics of a D6. Common knowledge, because everybody's got common knowledge. D6. But we're going to make our fighter a little bit more of a fighty McFighterson. So fighting. And that's going to be a D8. Which we could buy up to a D8 because his agility is a D8 without paying extra points. Intimidation. D6. Notice at a D6. Persuasion, which everybody gets at a D6. Shooting, like for his bows. Give them to him at a D. I'll give him that to him at a D8 as well. And stealth, he doesn't really care about it. So he's only a D4. His pace is a D6. His parry. Now, to remind you how to calculate parry, because you're going to need to know this because you're going to get asked the question all the time. Hey, how do you calculate parry? For parry, we're going to take 1/2 the vigor die. In this case, it's a D8. So 1/2 of that is 4, and then you add 2. So his parry is actually going to be a 6. And his toughness is going, or not D6. Well, his fighting's a D8. Sorry, his fighting's a D8, so that's still a 6. And his toughness is a 6. So, and we're going to go ahead and give him a hindrance of stubborn. And an edge of quick. And actually, we're going to give him a second hindrance, so that way we can bot his 2 stats up. Let's give him a second hindrance of... let's see. Let's look back up my hindrances real quick. See, and the thing is that this is kind of an NPC, we don't necessarily need to give him 2 hindrances. But as this is going to kind of be our main character for this example, we're going to go ahead and make him and give him a code of honor. He's a knight. So he's a knight, and stubborn's only a minor. So let's give him another minor one. Now some people might take might take a minor can't swim, but as he's not going to be getting into the swimming thing here, that's not going to be a good quirk, a good thing for him. Let's give him a quirk, and that he laughs in the face of danger. He laughs more when it's dangerous. And we'll name him Sir Roland. Okay. And that is a decent, well-created character. Let's see here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. You know what? That is actually a fully created character, and we did it based on the soldier. So that is one of the ways that if you need to create a character real quick on the fly, you just watch me do it in real time. So he's going to go up against 5 skeletons. He has been sent to grab the amulet that will heal the princess. And it is in the tomb, I want to say of Sir Reginald, Duke of Chutney, but that's a reference for those of you who appreciate that movie. Anyway, Sir Hamid. Tomb of Sir Hamid. And it's the amulet of goodness. Not everything can be well named. So, let's do this. Sir Roland has come upon these vile skeletons. Gotta get our action deck. And gonna grab some bennies. 3 for Sir Roland. And 2 because our Game Master Us gets 2 bennies for the sake of... Well, actually, technically there's only 1 player, so technically Game Master Us would only have 1, but we'll just go ahead and give us 2. Say there's another player. I don't know. But we'll just say earlier action. No, we'll go ahead and actually play it the way the rules roll. And we will actually go with just 1 Benny. Say this is a adventure you're doing for your friend. So the skeletons have 1 Benny between the lot of them because they are, they're extras. They are not... They don't get their names in the credits. Whereas Sir Roland does. He gets 3 bennies to try and put this all together. And I'm going to need a wild die. So, since most of my dice are... Oh, duh. I'm going to use the Holy Deadlands. See, this is cool, Deadlands. Anyway, so let's just do a round or so of this video, on this video. And we'll deal this in. So we're at 20 minutes in. So if you don't want to watch the next 10 minutes to see Savage Worlds in action, you don't need to. But you might enjoy this. Sir Reginald sees the vile skeletons that are clattering and chattering around the entrance to the tomb where the amulet of goodness lays. And he knows that it is time to end their sad unlives so that he can hopefully save the princess by retrieving the amulet. So, in he goes. And we're going to deal 1 card to Sir Reginald And since he has quick, if this had been less than a 5 or less, he would have got a second card. But he only gets the 9. That's fine. And a card for the skeletons. So it looks like he gets to go first. So he charges the first skeleton. He's going to do a move and attack. But they're far enough away that he needs to run to attack. Now, since we're doing this theater of the mind, the running die is not as important. Sometimes you might want to still have your players roll that running die, just so it would be a d6. And as long as he doesn't get a 1, he gets there. And that's where, again, we use our distances of melee, near, or melee, short, medium, which is you have to move to attack across a medium. And then long, you have to run to get across that to attack. And that's what Sir Reginald has to do, as Sir Roland has to do. And so he's going to, I don't know, maybe he's got a bow with him. Let's give him a bow. So since he's got a bow, and the bow he's definitely in short range for the bow. But his sword is going to be a regular long sword, so that it'll be strength plus d8. And his bow will do 2d8 damage. And then he also has a shield. And he's wearing armor. Now, real quick, the armor. Let's run up to gear real quick before I actually begin this moment of combat. And it'll cover pretty much everything that we've covered so far. He's going to... Gear's really easy to pass up real quick. Armor. So... he's got... we're going to give him... let's see, a d6. He can have... we're going to give him... now, this is one place where maybe me being the history nerd that I am, I'm going to give him the stats of thick leather and tough hides. However, I'm going to bank on what my friend Shad over at Shadiversity says, and I'm going to give this to him with Gambison. So he's got Gambison on. And that'll give him the +2. And so he's going to have Gambison all the way around. And because he's not strong enough to handle plate mail or even chain mail. So with the Gambison, and it's going to have the weights and everything. So the Gambison gives him a +2 all the way around. So his toughness is now an 8, parentheses 2. Because the parentheses 2 means that it's 2 points of armor. And his shield he's got a medium-sized shield. That means that when he's got it on, he has +2 armor. Or +2 to his parry, I should say. That's how. So shields add to the character's parry. And the cover subtracts from ranged attacks. So we're not going to need to worry about that with the skeletons. But yeah, he's got a shield that adds +2 to his parry. And then he's got, like I said, the sword, which is Well, in theory, he'd only be able to use like a short sword because he's not quite strong enough for a long sword. So it's a short sword. Strength plus D6. So maybe it's a saber. So he's got a little more maneuverability, but it's a saber. And that's what he's dealing with here. So it's kind of changed our picture of him a little bit, but yeah, he's wearing gambus and armor. He's got a shield, but before he pulls that shield down, he's going to take this first round and he's going to shoot an arrow at the first skeleton. So he's going to roll his shooting, which is D8. So let's get our D8 out. And he's going to get his wild die, which is a D6. So there's the set of dice we're rolling. And this is the first roll. I got a 5 on the wild die, but an 8 on the D8. So we're going to re-roll that. So that means we've already hit with a raise. Another 8. And a 6. So that would be 22. So he got a 22 to hit. That means that he hits with a raise. So we're going to get 2d6 for the bow and an extra d6 for the raise that he got. So we're going to shake that up. Why can't I roll this well when I'm game mastering? Anyway, so got a 2. We'll just put that one aside. But that 2 plus 6 is 8. Plus 6 more, that's 14. But now I get to roll those 2 again because they aced. And 14 plus another 12. And that's going to take us up to 26. Plus another 2. 28. Plus another 6. So 28 plus 6, that's going to put us up to 34. That's now going to put us up to 41. 41. Okay. So the skeleton has a toughness of 7. 41 minus 7, that's going to take us back down to 36. 36, divide that by 4. So that is going to be, that's going to be 9. So that's a hit with 9 raises. So a hit with 9 wounds. Yeah, Sir Roland he lets that arrow fly and he hits it right in the chest where the small gem that happens to control these skeletons, that animates these skeletons, he hits it right in the gem and that skeleton just blows up and scatters all over the place. But now the other skeletons are aware of him. There's 4 left, and they charge him. So they're going to run at him and attack. So they're going to do, basically, it's almost a multi-attack. So they're fighting as D6, and they do not get a wild die. However, since I'm attacking for 4, I'm going to roll both a die and a wild die and have it apply to all 4 of them. So they run at him. But remember, since it's an attack after a run, it's going to be at a -2. So one or the other has to be a 4, or has to beat his parry of 6, actually. So both dice for the skeletons do not beat a 6. And it's not really worth... Well, actually, yeah, that's going to be their first attack. But they're going to try and surround him now. And yeah, since neither one of them beats his 6, they have missed their attacks. So they come up and they swipe at him. Swipe, 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 swipe. 4 of them swiping at him, and they don't make it. So next round. Oh, Roland got a 2. But because he's quick, he gets to draw another card immediately, and he gets a 7 instead. And the skeletons, oh, they got a king, so they're gonna get to go first. So that is gonna be where we leave this episode, actually, of the video. We've just had a really incredible attack by our knight, and he just laid into it, and the skeletons, they've missed him, but he's got their attention now. And if they surround him, which they will, they each get a +1 for each other skeleton that's there. So that each skeleton will now be attacking him at a +3. And Sir Roland lets out a chuckle, lets out a laugh, a guffaw. Ha ha ha! This is what you think, foul demons. And that is where we're going to end this one. So I hope you enjoyed this, and we'll go ahead and continue this fight next time, or we will start looking into the adventuring tools. Like I said, this next time we're going to look into the adventure toolkit, which gives us things like it gives us things like allies and chases and vehicles and dramatic tasks. Oh, we're gonna love those. So stick around and join me again next week for the beginning of that part. But if you like this little segment of the adventure where we had Sir Roland facing off against now 4 very evil skeletons, then let's go ahead and start them up on the next round. So go ahead and let me know how you like this. Let me know if you like the format today. Let me know anything else you'd like me to know, and I will be glad to reply to you in line here and get a conversation going. That's what this is here for. So until next time, this is Mason with Ace Role Playing Games, reminding you that I love you, and you are amazing. The world is a much better place because you're here. And I want you to stick around so that I can meet with you and game with you at the table. And we together will have a great time. We're gaming for good. This is Mason from Ace Role Playing Games. Have a good week.